Yo, what up, people? Welcome back or welcome. I hope that this finds you when it needs to find you. I hope that you hear what you need to hear. What I'm here to talk about is prevalent to me today. So prevalent to me today that I'm currently sitting on the ground in front of a lake so that you guys maybe get a little bit better of a shot, so that maybe I get more clicks, so that maybe I can inspire a couple more people. That's not the point. The clicks is not the point. The inspiration is the point. I hope that you guys can see that, and I hope that, I'm not that shallow, and if I am, I'm working through it. I see a bunny, how beautiful. Anyways, sorry, I don't know what that's called, whatever that was, it just happened. So today's topic, like I said, is very prevalent to me. Today is about, there's nothing wrong with you. There may be something wrong, but it's not you. And the reason why that's so prevalent today, the reason why I feel that is today's topic specifically, I had a couple others to choose from, but the reason why I feel like that's today's topic specifically is because I woke up and I felt pretty horrible. I'm going to be honest. I don't really get emotional, but I got emotional, And I think that there may be a bit of an issue, the fact that I don't really get emotional. So I'm proud of myself for being able to own up to it, to release it and all that kind of stuff. But I woke up feeling like crap. And then I felt like crap because I felt like crap. And I started picking at all the things that I do, all the activities that I'm engaged in, all the behaviors that I exhibit, everything, and started to treat myself like I was the problem. Started to tear down any confidence that there may have been, in an effort to kind of justify the reason why I was the one feeling like shit, when meanwhile that's wrong. It's not me who chose to wake up and feel like shit. It's not me who chose to go through a list long, a list filled with really fucked up events, It's not me who chose this life. I was handed this life. I'm grateful for this life, but it's not my fault that I have to feel the things that come with this life that I was handed. So I guess my question to you is, if you are the same way, what about you not feeling good makes you feel like it's justified to feel guilty just for feeling guilty? Does that make sense? Why do we feel the need to add weight onto the already existing weight? Why do we feel the need to act as if we're not entitled to the way that we feel? We are entitled to the way that we feel. We're entitled to everything about the way that we feel. And you are not wrong for feeling, honestly. So don't add guilt onto a pre-existing plate of guilt, because you're entitled to your feelings. You are, and you are worth the work. You're worth the work, you're worth the effort. So when you wake up and you feel like shit, just own up to that. Honestly, just say, okay, why do I feel like shit? Okay, that's why. Okay, there's more coming, maybe there's more coming. Okay, I'm gonna own up to that as well, and just take part. Honestly, just take part. And you will be fine, I promise you will be fine, you will see through to the other end. I know that I've been here 1,000 times, I know that. I know I will wake up tomorrow and I will say, just because yesterday was shitty, I'm going to try even harder and I'm going to work my way through it. Even today, I feel like shit and I'm still sitting here doing this with you guys. You know what I mean? So it's not about the effort that I put out, and to be honest, no matter the amount of effort I put out, it'll never feel like enough compared to how shitty I feel. And I have to acknowledge that and just say simply, I'm entitled to feeling like shit. Why would I feel guilty for feeling guilty, We're wasting our time like that. Wasting our time by telling ourselves that we don't deserve. When we do deserve, when we are worth the work, And there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you for experiencing and feeling and dealing with life the same way that people are meant to deal and experience with life. It's bizarre that we treat ourselves like it's our fault that we feel. You gotta accept where you're at. And that's difficult. Yes, it is. to say to yourself, to say to myself today, you're not doing good. You need to handle it. You need to be emotional for as long as that emotion calls you. You need to think and dive deep into all the many things that feel like absolute horrible dog shit. That sucks. That truly, 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 truly sucks. It is not a happy feeling to say, this is how I feel and I'm not going to change it. I'm going to be okay with it. It's a horrid idea to just act like, we're content with that for the day, because we're not content. And that's the same reason why we're in this predicament, is that we feel like shit. But you need to realize that you're entitled to however you feel, even if it is shitty. It could be the worst feeling that you've ever had. It could be the worst day that you've ever had. But it's not your fault, unless you're, a sociopath or a murderer. And if you are, shout out to, no. I don't think I should follow through with that. Whatever. Anyways, how do I recover from that? Anyways, unless you are some drastic asshole, let's put it that way, because I think you would have better things to do with your time if you were a sociopath or a murderer, and you wouldn't be watching this. As long as you are not some drastic asshole, as long as you are not some, let's not keep adding insults, but as long as you are not that kind of person, it's not your fault that you feel like shit. It's not on you that you were born into a certain life, which you've experienced certain things and you have to handle and feel through certain things. It's not on you. It's not your fault. And you need to know that. You need to acknowledge that you're not the one that's to blame for everything that you've been hit with throughout your life. You're not as bad as you think you are. You're acting like you need to feel guilty for feeling guilty. It's bizarre. And, if you are that asshole, if you are that scumbag, if you are that douche, whatever the fuck you want to call it, demand more from yourself. Demand more from yourself. And honestly, just make sure that every time that you go out, that you put the foot forward, that you are trying to improve. Because if you're the one that's inflicting yourself pain, then, maybe you should feel guilty for feeling guilty. But the rest of us that just handle things that we've been dealt, and let's not get delusional with it. Let's take responsibility for what's ours. But the rest of us who have been handed a certain way of life and have had to process and digest it, it's not on you. It may not be your fault, but it's your responsibility. So take responsibility for it, be a part of it, but don't take so much responsibility for it that you're acting like this is all on you, that this is all your fault, that you feel this way, that you have to handle these things, that that person died, that your friend's in pain, that a relationship ended. Take responsibility for what's yours, especially in a relationship or a friendship or whatever it may be. But particularly guilt. How are you going to feel guilty for being in pain knowing that someone close to you is gone? And I know that that's a very specific example. And maybe it's only related to me, but, I know thousands of people lose thousands of things. I know there's a lot of people that have to deal with a lot. And you need to do your best to stop compounding the problem. You need to do your best to take a little bit of that weight off. And to look at yourself and say, today isn't it. Today isn't it, and that's just fine. That's as much as I could do today, is today not being it. That's my bottom line. And you could try. You could try from there on out. But you have to understand that if nothing works, if you still go home and you still feel empty at the end of the day, that's kind of how it all started. It's kind of where you were at in the first place. You kind of just have to be okay with that. And stop beating yourself up for the fact that you can't change the way that you feel just because you blinked a different way. You could force a smile, but is that going to help? Honestly. You got to continuously ask yourself, what you can take responsibility for and what is just what you've been handed. What is just something that you have to process through, but you need to stop hurting yourself over the fact that you're hurt. It's an important lesson to learn. It's an important distinction to make, and why add more guilt? Honestly, why? Because it's not your fault. The things that you have, the things that you were given, the life that you were chosen for. Be grateful for that life. Take responsibility for what's yours. But stop feeling like shit for feeling like shit. You are entitled to how you feel. You are allowed to feel how you feel. And I believe in you. I back you to get through it. All of us will. All of us will. At the end of every single day, we'll figure it out. We will. But what you can do for yourself is stop being the person to hurt you. You're hurt. You're reacting, you're dealing with, you're processing through that hurt. So why add more pain? Just be you, be a part of you, be honest with yourself, and you are entitled to how you feel. Let me try this all again. There is nothing wrong with you. You may feel like something's wrong, but it's not you. You need to feel what you need to feel. You need to process through what you need to process through. It's not your fault for not feeling the best. And if that's all you can do for today, then you have to own up to that and be a part of that. And don't feel guilty for that. Don't add guilt on just because you feel guilty. I hope all of this made sense. I hope I didn't just ramble, because I tried this a couple times. It worked here or worked there, but sometimes it didn't. And, I may feel the same about this recording, but sometimes when I listen back to these recordings, it's just fine. Sometimes it's just me who feels like shit, and no matter what I do, it may not feel like enough. And I've got to be honest and open with myself about that. And not add that weight just because I feel that it's a justified time to compound the issue. That's like kicking somebody when they're down. Why do we do that to ourselves? If that's the rule of thumb for anybody that you're, dealing with, why can't you apply it to yourself? And practice makes perfect, so I should really start practicing these things, but I guess me starting to tell you guys this is a big step towards actually acknowledging that and actually just being a part of my day, actually just, being okay with where I'm at, We're always allowed to be okay with where we're at. We're not meant to be marketable and we're not constantly meant to be this thing that's larger than life, this thing that everybody appreciates, this thing that everybody wants to be, everybody strives to be like. We're entitled to be just like the rest of the people that you see around you. And specifically creative people hold themselves to a higher standard. And, and if you're one of them, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you have to deal with this shit. I'm sorry that you have to feel like shit for feeling like shit, But stop. Stop. Because there's nothing wrong with you. I hear it too often. People that are close to me say, I'm sorry. They say, I'm sorry. There's something wrong with me. No, there's not. There's something wrong with you because you have emotion? Because you're not a deranged lunatic? What? Are we okay? We're so cut off from emotion, so cut off from interaction with others that we think emotion is not okay? Are we okay? No, we're honestly not. But when you're not, be okay with that. So I guess I'll leave it at that. I guess I'll end it there. I know I'm probably just rambling at this point. My foot fell asleep. I was sitting on it this whole time. I hope that shows how important this all is to me. And I hope that it helped you, because it might not have helped me today, but maybe I can listen back and it'll help me in the future. And I hope to inspire with this. That's the main goal. So I love you guys. I care for you guys, and care about you, no matter how you feel. Thank you guys. Bye.